consumers are going to pick the easiest path.
Yeah.
And
amen to that.
And so if you can easily go on Google and get on your phone and just do a search in Google Maps, and you're going to see here's a list of all the businesses that do this particular service, and you can clearly see the reviews, you're going to go by that as a first impression, and that's who's going to be your first phone call.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's happens over and over again. Even with the personal recommendations, there's quite a few stats that talk about people will choose reviews over personal recommendations, or they'll fact check the personal recommendations.
Yes.
So you may say, hey, I have this coffee shop I love.
Yep.
And I'll say, oh, great, let's go check it out. But if I'm a inquisitive type, I'm going to go, oh, let me check it out. Oh, the reviews are bad. And then I might ask you, why are the reviews so bad? So there's the fact checking, and then there's also just picking things over on reviews over personal recommendations. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Little Fish Podcast, where we honor, celebrate, and learn from small business owners just like you. I am Joel Eschenbach, and as always, I'm so glad to have you join us on this episode. Look, if you run a service company of any kind, it doesn't matter if you're a restaurant or a heating and air conditioning company or a carpet cleaner. I always mention carpet cleaner because really I grew up with my dad. He owned multiple carpet cleaning companies, and actually we're going to have him on in a few weeks, which I'm pretty excited about, to have my dad on the show. But anyway, if you're a service business that services a local community or your local area, you've got to pay attention on this episode. We're going to talk about how you can rank better in Google and people can find you more in searches. So this one's really, really important. And I have with me today Gary Donson from Think Donson. He's the co-owner of Think Donson. And really with Gary, he everything I've learned about local SEO, that's search engine optimization, or really so much of local marketing I've learned from Gary Donson. So welcome to the show, Gary.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so if you wanted to talk about one thing today, if you were talking to specifically locally based, so service businesses that serve a local community, their local community, what's probably the most important thing they need to do online to be found online, do you think?
That's an easy one. Without question, it's their Google business page. The reach that you can get with Google Business, and the fact that we're in such a mobile-first world. And now the latest catchphrase is that Google is your new homepage. If you're not focusing on that, then you're missing out on a huge opportunity.
Yeah, now that hurts, because the Google is the new homepage hurts me as a designer.
Yes.
As a web development company, it's like, okay. But it's interesting. You and I were talking about this the other day. And it's true, because the latest statistic is more than 50% of Google searches end without click to other content. So people are coming to Google, whether it's on their phone or it's on their laptop or their computer. They type in what they want to see. So let's say air conditioning, heating companies or whatever it is, restaurants. And then what happens?
So everybody loves to call that the zero-click search result, which wasn't even a phrase, I don't even think, a year ago.
Yeah.
But because Google is so good at giving us the information that most people are looking for, and this is by design, Google prefers to keep us on their properties as opposed to clicking through. And that's what results in that. That's how people get the information. They don't even click through. You experienced that just recently.
Yeah.
With somebody that, we spend all this time on our websites and getting them to be, converting well and functioning and great design. And somebody looks you up online, they look at your reviews, and they'll call based just on that without even going through to the website.
Yeah, that totally just happened. Because I always ask people, how did you find us?
Right.
And this guy was like, oh, we clicked, and this has happened a few times, but we found you on Google My Business. He didn't call it that. He said, I Googled you. I looked at your reviews, how many reviews you had, your star rating, and then I compared you to other companies, and I called you. So I was like, you didn't even look at the site? No, haven't even looked at the site. So we'll talk about the importance of websites in probably another podcast or something, because again, it's 50%. There's still people that are clicking through, and your website's important, but that first impression is Google. For those who don't know, because I know we're diving right in here to Google My Business, what Google My Business is, we're going to put that up on the screen. For you that are audio listeners, if you want to check out the YouTube version of this episode, we'll put this up on the screen. Google My Business is essentially your local listing that shows up either on the right-hand side. If you type in the name of your business, if you have a Google My Business listing, it'll show up on the right-hand side of your search results. If people search for your specific subject, or I'm sorry, the service that you provide. So restaurant, carpet cleaning, whatever it is, and you're listed in the local stack, which, we'll talk about that more, or the 3-pack, I guess.
3-pack.
3-pack. I'm getting that mixed up with our product, the local stack.
The local stack.
So then you might show up, your Google My Business page will show up in the local map listings. So we'll show that on the screen here.
Yeah. And also, through the apps, through the Google Maps app and the Apple Maps, that's where we're seeing a huge increase in views and reach and searchability.
Yeah, so it's of huge importance. So to start out, we won't go over this in this episode, but to start out, you've got to work on getting a Google My Business page first. And we have a separate video for that. So that's the first step, claiming your Google My Business page. But once that's set up, that becomes probably the catalyst for most of what people are searching for when they find you, when they're searching locally.
Right.
So this is important stuff. I was sitting just last night. My wife was sitting next to me on the couch, and I forget what we were looking up. Some random thing, and she did exactly that. She Googled it, and she read the snippet that comes from Google for the specific website.
Yep.
The what do they call that? Rich
snippets.
Rich snippets, yeah, that now pop up on Google searches on your mobile device and desktop. She read the answer she wanted and then left. Never went out to a website. And that's what's happening. That's essentially what you're saying with this no click. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, what Google is constantly trying to do, that's a perfect example, is they're trying to give us the content that we need. And that leads to, well, how does Google get that content? How do they get that information? One way is through reviews. They're actually taking all of the information that somebody writes in a review, and that becomes content for Google, to help with search results. And as well as all the information you're filling out in your Google Business page, the pictures that people are taking, the pictures that you can upload. So there's actually information coming in from all kinds of sources that Google takes it all, puts it together, and that's what it's using to decide what are you going to see when you're looking up something in Google Maps, or if you're looking up something just in Google Search. And and I think that's what a lot of business owners are not really realizing or picking up on, is how important that is, because it's the most visible place for your business, bar none. And the data that we track on all the businesses that we work with shows that unquestionably.
Yeah, right. And so I think most people know reviews are more important than ever, but really not capitalizing on that. I'll see a lot of people focusing on, let's talk about social media.
Yep.
So social media content's important, right? But I've dealt with a lot of business owners that spend quite a bit of money. Either they're paying somebody to post for them on social media, they're spending a lot of time trying to come up with content, and they're posting on social, but they're not seeing a lot of results from social media. And at the same time, they're completely neglecting their Google My Business,
yep.
Which if you're a service business and you are serving a local audience. So I say that a lot just because if you sell a product, like a digital product or online, or you sell a product around the world or somewhere else, it's a little bit of a different strategy. But if you're a local business, you have got to be on Google My Business.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like if if we're talking to somebody for the first time, the first thing we do is we'll take a look at what is their social presence, what are they actually putting out there. Mm-hmm. And we'll look at their Facebook page first, we'll look at their Instagram, and 9 times out of 10, I'll go and look at their Google Business page, and they're not posting one thing. Mm-hmm. So it's extremely simple to at least take the first step and take whatever you're posting on Facebook, do it on Google Business, and at least get the content there. And what we're able to show people very quickly, within 30 days usually, is that the information they're putting on Google Business is actually getting them better results, better reach than Facebook.
Because it's difficult to track the ROI on social media. So ROI is return on investment, for those of you who don't know that term. When I was first getting into marketing, people would throw that around like everybody just knew what it meant. ROI. And I was like, that's return on investment. It's very difficult to track that on social media, I think, especially for the local business, right? And we've seen that over and over again with hundreds of people we've worked with. And it's not that it doesn't matter. It's just that if you're going to pour time and resources into something, Google's probably the better route for most businesses.
Yeah, because it's going to lead to a more direct action. If somebody's finding you in Google Maps or finding their Google business page, there's already intent there. There's a reason that you're showing up. And, and with Google My Business, we think it's actually easier to measure results because we can see the calls, we can see the clicks, we can see people clicking on directions, and we can see what the reach is. And those numbers are pretty substantial, and we can measure and affect those very, very quickly.
Yeah. Well, and the other stat we realize is that 63% of Google visits now happen on a mobile device. And that's a continual climbing quickly, right? Yes. So not only are people Googling, but they're doing it mostly now on mobile devices, on phones.
Yeah, and that's not going to change. That's only going to increase at a very quick rate with the number of devices that are out there and what devices people are searching on. And so, we always tell people, take a look at, pull up your phone, go into Apple Maps or Google Maps, search for your business. What do you see? And that's the first impression. That's your brand. And, and if that doesn't look consistent with everything else that you're doing, that's something that needs to be addressed right there. So from a branding standpoint, your Google business page is critical because it's 9 times out of 10, that's the first thing people are going to see. Yeah. Thankfully, we have, as business owners, a lot more control over what that looks like. A year ago, 2 years ago, Google controlled that almost entirely and didn't give us a lot of choices. Now that's all changed. So we can upload, cover photos and images, and we can upload videos. There's a lot we can do there, and every single thing that we upload, again, coming back to the content, is all going to contribute to what your presence looks like and how it shows up in search results. Whether you're on Google Search, whether you're on Google Maps, the phone doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, that's good. And with this episode, I really do want to get into some very tangible steps. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But obviously, step one, like we said, get your Google My Business page, right? If you don't have that, do that.
Right.
And then from there, so somebody's got that set up. Let's talk about what are the next most important things people can do. By the way, this is all completely free.
Yes.
That's what's so amazing about it. Your first step to get pretty decent results, depending on your industry locally, your first step is completely free. You don't even have to have a website. You don't have to pay for Google Ads. It's nothing like that. This step's completely free.
Yeah, absolutely. The next step is, we always tell people, and I'd say 99% of the time nobody has done this, is download the app. And what I mean by app is the Google Business app.
The Google My Business app.
So if you go into your app directory on your phone, just type in Google Business page and download that app, because you can do everything through that app. It's a really good app. And you can update your information, you can see your reviews, you can respond to reviews, you can upload photos, you can upload videos, and that's going to make your life a lot easier. And you effectively can do almost everything through that app.
Yeah. And that, for a lot of busy business owners, that's way more convenient than trying to log in on your computer. You and I are managing a lot of companies, so we're on the computer a lot dealing with the Google My Business page, but for most people, an app will be much quicker. Yeah.
You can I like to use restaurants as a good example because they, usually have no time to do anything. And, but you're walking around with your phone, you see a great picture of food, or you're taking a quick video of the chef, cooking up something. You can get that information uploaded in no time.
Yeah.
And it's just doing it consistently. That's the key, is doing it consistently.
Right. Like anything. Yep. All right, let's talk about a few things specifically. So we said, first of all, get the business page, then download the app. Then there's 3 things. There's 3 things you want to do on a regular basis with your Google My Business page. Actually, I've skipped something important. You got to fill out everything in your Google My Business page, right?
Yes.
You got to fill in all the fields, your hours, your location, your address, your categories, right?
Your categories, yeah, and that category is extremely important. You can do multiple. So first you need to pick, what is your primary category? So, again, we'll use restaurants as an example. So, you're gonna pick restaurants, but then you can put in several subcategories or secondary categories, and you basically want to go through and try to find and search as many that apply, that make a difference. So if you're an Italian restaurant, restaurants would be your primary category, and your secondary category would be Italian or pizza or whatever it is.
Right.
That's critical. And Another thing you can do is look at your competitors, and which is really easy to do. Just look them up and see what their categories are. That's a really simple thing to do, because then you might pick up on something that you weren't thinking of. So categories is crucial. And then just going through, when you get into the app, you click on info and edit, and then just go through every single field that's there and be sure something is in there. Be sure you've got a good description. And you can also put in your holiday hours, which makes a big difference. So that way when you get on the app and somebody's doing a search, the first thing they look at is, are you open and closed?
Right.
And you certainly don't want somebody showing up when you're closed, thinking that you're open.
Yeah.
And
people, I don't think, realize how much the regular visitor are using that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like when I want coffee at 4:00 and
and somewhere
my
it's
favorite
closed.
coffee shop is closed. Yes.
Right. Exactly. All right. So that's done. But there are 3 ongoing things that we want to be doing on Google My Business. I'll run over them and then we'll go back and talk about each one. So reviews.
Yep.
Reviews. We preach about reviews all the time, so we'll come back to that. And then pictures and posts.
Yep.
So those 3 things. So once you have your page set up and optimized, then let's focus on those 3 things. So reviews.
So reviews is fairly straightforward. We, of course, have tools that allow us to solicit reviews and monitor the reviews in real time. But a simple way to do it is I think you're going to put this in the notes, is there's a couple of places online where you can go and generate a review link. And that review link you can put anywhere. You can put it in your emails, you can put it in your websites, you can post it in your social media, your email signature, you can put it wherever you want. But essentially when someone clicks on that link, it's going to take them right to the review box where you can put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, put in a description. It makes it really easy for the consumer or your customer to get to where they want to give you a Google review. So that would be number 1.
Yeah, and we're going to put that, the link we're talking about is Whitespark, and you can literally put your Google My Business page in there. It generates a link for you, and you can just share that link. It takes people right to leave a review on your Google My Business page.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll put that in the description.
And then then with reviews, the other thing that we like to do and encourage people to do is if you have the right software, you can then embed all of your great reviews right on your website, so people can see that as well.
Yeah. And what's interesting? I mean, I think we know this to be true, but it bears repeating, is that people are going to choose your business over another business if you have more reviews and higher ratings. It will always happen. People are always going to choose better reviews. And I think people just think, well, if I have a couple of reviews and, it's fine. But then your competitor, you say you have 5 and your competitor has 45 and they're all positive reviews, they're going to go with the competitor.
Exactly.
One of the stats that I thought was interesting, there's a lot of stats about people choosing businesses or to work or products because of reviews. But one of the ones that I really liked was when choosing a restaurant specifically, Gen Z and millennials are 99% more likely to rely on social media and online reviews than Gen X or boomers.
That's crazy.
99%.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, Ryan seconds that. So, I mean, that's your process, right?
Yeah. I go to Instagram. Oh, I go to Yelp.
Yeah.
And then if I'm like going to Orlando or something, I'll just search like ramen, and Yelp, and then I'll look at the best reviews, and then I do Google too.
Right.
But
right.
And then I get Instagram, like, okay, what am I going to order there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or and Instagram's a big part because you want to have the vibe and the ambiance
Yeah,
of the place.
of course. Yeah, especially like a millennial, you know, it's all about the vibes, or else
Right.
you aren't going.
Right. But at the end of the day, whether that goes back to social media, whether you're on social media or not, they've got to have that listing, and then the reviews have to be good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's the sole basis of what you're choosing.
If a place looks good, I'll pick 2 or 3 that look good, and then I'll pick the most reviews. That's usually, it's got to look good and it's got to have good reviews.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do it across all the platforms. We do it on Amazon. Obviously, Amazon's the easiest one to think about. We're reading the reviews. We're going through that process.
Or think about trying to pick out a resort that you want to stay at in a country that you've never been to.
Mm-hmm. You said something interesting about Google My Business versus a website that I thought was really good. About how when you look at a lot of websites, you don't really know the difference. But when you look at Google My Business listings, you can kind of compare them equally.
Yeah, the psychology is interesting because if you don't have a personal referral, somebody that's saying, go to this business or this is who I would recommend, which happens quite often.
Right.
You as the consumer, if you're looking for a specific service, you're not an expert in that service as we would be. So the only thing you have to go by is the reviews. And if you're looking at a website versus, from 4 different companies, you don't really know enough about their business to understand the differences and the nuances and why, what's going to make you pick one versus the other. So
right. It's not like comparing websites isn't apples to apples.
No.
They're very different. They're all focusing on different things.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're left with the reviews, and because that's a simple, consumers are going to pick the easiest path.
Yeah.
And
Amen to that.
And so if you can easily go on Google and go on your phone and just do a search in Google Maps, and you're going to see here's a list of all the businesses that do this particular service, and you can clearly see the reviews, you're going to go by that as a first impression, and that's who's going to be your first phone call.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's happens over and over again. Even with the personal recommendations, there's quite a few stats that talk about people will choose reviews over personal recommendations, or they'll fact check the personal recommendations.
Yes.
So you may say, hey, I have this coffee shop I love.
Yep.
And I'll say, oh, great, let's go check it out. But if I'm a inquisitive type, I'm going to go, oh, let me check it out. Oh, the reviews are bad. And then I might ask you, why are the reviews so bad? So there's the fact checking, and then there's also just picking things over on reviews over personal recommendations.
And I would love to see the stat on how many people read, actually go through and will read 10, 15, 20
Oh,
reviews.
yeah, absolutely.
And I bet you that would be a really high percentage.
I think so. Yeah. So reviews. I mean, we can't preach that enough. And we preach it to a lot of our customers, and some get it and some don't. Or a lot of times I hear, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to keep asking for reviews and bug people. I say, bug people. Bug your customers. Yep. Because people aren't going to leave reviews unless they're asked, typically, unless they have a bad experience. If people have a bad experience, they'll leave a negative review. And we read yesterday that it takes 40 positive reviews on average to make up for one negative.
Yes.
So, ouch.
That's huge.
That hurts.
Another thing a lot of businesses don't know is that, especially in Google and in most review platforms, somebody gives you a bad review, they can go back and edit that review. They can go back and change that from a 1-star to a 4-star review.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And
Really?
And it's just a matter of reaching out and making that person happy and addressing whatever their problem was. And then literally ask them, please go back and give us a review.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, even if somebody left you a bad review a year ago, you never know. It doesn't take much time to reach out and ask them or try to, turn them around and get them to change that. And depending on how many reviews you've got, if you've only got 20 reviews, one negative review is going to take down your average.
Absolutely.
And it's that average that people see is, they'll make the decision based on what that number is.
Yeah, they will. And there's a big difference between maybe like a 4.9 and a 4.2.
Yes.
4.9 or 4.8, okay. But you start getting to the low 4s
And you start
or in
to
the
question.
3s, forget
Yes.
it.
Below 4, you're pretty much sunk.
Yeah.
That's
so,
a problem.
but I didn't know that. That's interesting. I mean, so that also is a good thing to talk about, the importance of responding to reviews. So
Yes.
you got to ask for reviews, you got to get more reviews, positive ones, and then respond to them when they are negative or even when they're positive.
Even actually both.
Both, yeah.
Because, if you notice on the app, when you're looking at it in reviews, it can show most relevant. And you can change that, but the default is relevant and popular. So if you're only responding to negative reviews, you're actually making them more relevant, which you don't want to do. So if you're going to respond to positive and negative. And the other part of that is when Google sees you interacting with your reviews on a regular basis, that shows them that you're a more active person in your Google business page, and activity is rewarded in the eyes of Google in your rankings.
Yeah, that's good. See, I learn something new every day when we talk. All right, so we talked about reviews, and we could keep harping on that, but we'll move on.
Yep.
But get reviews. Anyway, let's talk about posts. What are Google posts? I'll show this on the screen as well. Google posts show up on your Google My Business page at the bottom, and at the bottom of the little square on the side of the search box. And tell me about posts.
So Google Posts is no different than a Facebook post. It's information that you're putting out there. It could be, a picture in a paragraph. That sounds like eHarmony. But it's no different than what you're posting on Facebook or Instagram. You're going to take the same content and put it on your Google business page. The difference with Google is that your regular information post will only stay up for 7 days. Now, if you do an event or an offer, then that you can control the time frame for how long that post is going to show. But most of the posts that you put up there, you're looking at a 7-day window. So, what they're trying to do, obviously, is get you to post on a more frequent basis. So, and try to post about different things. And, and for a lot of small businesses, events and offers are tending to be more effective than regular general post.
Okay. But there's a reason for it, right? Because Google it affects your ranking to a certain extent. The more, and we've seen that, and that's played out in the analytics that we've
and when you say ranking,
studied.
We're actually seeing it translate to, and Google will never admit this, but we can't ignore the data, and the data is showing us that when people are consistently posting on their Google post, we're actually seeing a very positive correlation to their website traffic and website ranking, not just their Google business page ranking.
Interesting. So,
and that's been, it's been a very, very clear correlation because we didn't do anything else except that, and we saw the increase. So that's something to take into consideration. It's another benefit to doing it. The primary benefit, again, when in the beginning we were talking about, feeding Google content about your business, that's a super simple, easy way to do it is through your post. So all that information is going to be collected and categorized, and Google's going to keep track of it. And even though your general posts stop showing after 7 days, they are still there, and they can actually show up in a search result 3 months later.
Oh, really? Okay. And Google rewards you essentially for using their tools. You said that before.
Yes.
So yeah, you can do it on Facebook, you can do it on Instagram, you can do it on LinkedIn. That's all good for different reasons. But you post on Google, the more you do that, they like that. They want you to use their tools. So they reward that essentially.
Exactly. And that's going to help you show up in Google products. And overwhelmingly, when you look at all the Google properties, that's where people are always being found first. And that's, Google is the king of search. That's not going to change anytime soon. So that's for brick and mortar, small business. That's why it's the number one choice when it comes to social media channels.
Yeah. And so that's just kind of something to remember. If you have posts that you're putting on social, on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, grab those posts and also put them on Google My Business.
Yes.
And I hear people say, oh my gosh, another platform, but or another channel. It's important. It's really important. All right, let's talk about the final thing people can do on a regular basis: reviews, posts, and then pictures.
And videos.
And pictures and videos.
So again, if you're using the Google Business app, it's super simple. You take a picture through your phone, go into your app, upload the photo. And one of the changes that they've made is there's now multiple types of photos that you can upload. There can be a general photo, there can be interior pictures, exterior pictures. You can upload videos. They have a category for staff and employees. So what you want to do is, and you don't want to do it all at once. You want to do it gradually over time so it's natural. And try to get pictures and videos into every category that you have. And this, of course, is in addition to what your customers are posting about. Or what pictures your customers are taking. Because again, using restaurants as an example, customers are constantly taking pictures of their food and uploading it, and that becomes part of your photo profile on your Google Business page.
And we saw today that if customers are taking pictures of your food as a restaurant, it shows up on your menu, which is really interesting. We even saw people taking pictures of the menu.
Yeah.
Which I don't know about you. Have you ever taken a picture of a menu when you've gone to a restaurant? It's kind of weird.
But I do look at them.
You look at the pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking for a menu.
Yeah, because if I'm already on Yelp, I'll look at they don't have the menu on Yelp, so I just look at the pictures. So yeah. Yeah,
so it's part of the menu. It's the pictures show up. People can also put their own menu in now. Not everybody. Most businesses can manually now put your own menu. Or if you're a service business, you can actually put your services and or your products right in there in Google Business too.
And a lot of times, if you're taking a picture, you're thinking, well, it's just a picture. But you have to understand how advanced Google's image recognition is now. It's crazy advanced. So if you were to take a picture of something, Google is analyzing that whole picture using AI, and it knows what that picture is. It actually will give a title to it, it's very accurate. So it's not only the title, but it's taking a look at a picture of whatever it is, and it's automatically assigning this picture is talking about these different categories or these different topics. Topics is the correct word.
Yeah.
And that's all content. So a picture can generate as much content, quote unquote, as 2 or 3 paragraphs. And when you think about that, and you realize that that generates and contributes to what is my business about, what is my service about, those pictures actually contribute a lot. So doing it about what you're doing day in and day out, and how you're servicing your customers or clients, and doing it consistently, is think of a picture as like a small blog. It literally can have that much of an effect.
Yeah. And I think we keep talking about restaurants, but you're right. Any service business.
Yes.
You could be posting pictures. The more activity, the better.
Yeah.
And the food pictures do. I mean, like a little shout out to one of all of our favorite restaurants, Buttermilk, here in Sarasota. Here, this is their coffee right there. But my favorite food there is fried chicken Sammy. I get it like every week. I just had it this morning, me and Gary.
Yep.
And people have taken pictures and put that on their Google My Business page.
Yeah.
And it automatically classifies it as the fried chicken Sammy, and you just know. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty wild how Google now classifies the pictures of food as part of the menu.
And it goes one step further and will show the pictures that are getting the most views that people are looking at as they're discovering your Google business page are going to be highlighted and show up under the term popular. So the popular pictures that are user generated are going to be very prevalent for certain types of businesses.
Oh, that's interesting. So a little bit of review there. You want to set up your Google My Business page. You want to download the app. Then you want to, on a regular basis, be posting, getting reviews, responding to reviews, posting on Google Posts, and then pictures on a regular basis.
Yep.
It's a pretty simple plan, and it's all free.
Yeah.
I mean, and over time, we have seen that, if we had the time and we didn't want to bore you to death, we'd look at some of the analytics on it. We have seen over time with many of our clients an increase in ranking, an increase in clicks and calls and directions and all of those things from just implementing these things we're talking about.
Yeah. And and of course, there's all kinds of software.
Of course, there's a phone call coming in.
I thought I silenced that.
This is a customer that needs help. No.
There's all kinds of software that can help you track all these analytics. But again, if you don't want to, you can go right into your Google business page and you can get the insights and keep track. At a very minimum, we tell people keep track of your clicks, because on your Google business page, you can click through to the website. People can click to call, and they can get directions, and depending on what type of business. So at least keep track of those 3 metrics, and we always refer to them as actions. They're very direct actions, and just keep track of what that total is on a monthly basis on a simple spreadsheet. And you will see, I guarantee you will see, if you're doing all the things that we're talking about on a regular basis, you will see those numbers go up fairly quickly and contribute to your overall reach and activity.
Yeah, and I think that is a good thing to remind people as we sort of wrap this up, is that all of that is really important, but if you're not tracking it, if you're not looking at it every once in a while, then you really have no baseline for improvement.
Right.
You don't know how you're doing. You don't know how you could be doing. You don't know the things to change. So tracking those clicks, those calls, directions,
yep.
and just seeing how that improves over time. Again, you can do all that through the app, right?
Yeah, exactly. Get it all right through the app. Look at it once a month. Go on the first of the month, just grab those numbers, put them on a spreadsheet, and then compare them month after month.
Right. So would you say that if somebody is spending a lot of time or money or resources on social media, Facebook posts, LinkedIn, whatever, would you say that it's probably more important to shift that over to Google My Business, or do both?
Depending on the business. Certain businesses, I would probably say only focus on Google My Business. But if you're already doing the other channels, don't stop doing it.
Okay.
But absolutely make Google My Business a priority.
Sure.
I mean, that really should be your first thought. And then all the other channels would be more of a secondary as far as importance are concerned.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, thanks, Gary. I'm learning so much. I want to end with talking about, we do have a product. called the Local Stack. So you can do all this on your own. I mean, like what we just said is all free. You can do it on your own. There's tons of resources. We're going to put a lot in the description. But a lot of business owners come to us and go, this is just overwhelming. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to keep up with. They don't have the time.
Yep.
So we've got a product called the Local Stack. If you go to notiondesigngroup.com/local stack, we, of course, help you with Google My Business. Get that page optimized. We, Gary, you mentioned before, we have a review funnel software that we use that helps you to easily request reviews from your customers, respond to reviews. It's awesome. When we started using it, our reviews really tripled. The reviews we were getting. And I should note that we get so many customers come in and say, you guys have great reviews. You have quite a few for your industry. And we picked you because of the reviews.
Right.
So it's important.
Yep.
So we have that. But then in addition to that, we do a lot more. We submit your name, address, and phone number to all the aggregators and directories, which we won't get into that here, but that's a really important part of being found in local Google searches. And then we're doing all of the tracking and reporting. We're tracking everything: phone calls, website clicks, Google My Business numbers. What else am I leaving? What am I leaving out?
Well, and the important part about that is, and where we end up seeing customers tell us that they're getting most value is we're interpreting that data for them.
Yeah, that's
the biggest missing link, and that's usually the hardest thing. Is like we can generate reams of data, but what we help to do is focus on what matters and help to interpret it, which is going to result in a to-do or an action.
Yeah, definitely. And that's true, because a lot of companies will just send you a report. You'll just get an emailed report once a month. And you're like, this 25-page report, you're like, that's great, but I have no idea what this means.
Yes.
We do either an in-person meeting or a video, a pre-recorded video where we walk through everything that's kind of the highlight for the quarter. And then we give you action steps. We'll say, you should improve on this. We could work on this together, or here's something you could do to improve for the next quarter. And so it's all there. It's all done for you, and that's the Local Stack. So check that out, notiondesigngroup.com, Local Stack. We'd love to help, no matter where you're at with marketing or your website or local SEO. It's a great product, and we've seen it help tons of people.
Yes.
We can implement it into really any website as well.
Yep.
Also, like you said, there's a review widget that we put on your website too, that pops up and shows you reviews from multiple channels.
Yes.
Right on your website, which is a great piece of authority too. So yeah, we work together on that, and it's a great little product. I'm pretty proud of it. We've had quite a few businesses have success with it.
Yeah, and we are constantly keeping up with the technology and the changes, and that's another pain point for most businesses is, they hear all this noise that's out there, and they never know what to really pay attention to and what not to, and that's really what we do. That's our job, is to interpret everything new that's coming on board as technology changes so fast. That's our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And then interpret that for you. You should be doing this. Don't worry about that.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah, it's good. Well, thanks, Gary, for being on the podcast. I mean, every time we sit across the table from each other, I learn something.
Yes.
That's what I love about hanging out with you. So I was like, we got to get you on the podcast and just talk about this simple thing that every business owner could be doing.
Let's do it again.
Easy. Let's do it.
All right.
Thanks, Gary.